Okay, this is for you, Joe, and for your class. By the way, this is the Santa Monica Pier right here. This is, first of all, Shekayach B'Shus Rabbi Morris, who is leading the class. It's wonderful. This is just a little synopsis and a talk about the class. This is not a class on philosophy whatsoever. Number one, you're privileged to be able to have such a class in your school. You don't have to go far and think how many kids and how many yeshivas are not going to be able to have that class. Not everybody's going to get it. Not everybody's going to understand the class. Not everyone's going to be able to walk out and say it in their own words and use the tools. As many of the kids said, this class will help me later in life. Now, can all of the boys who said that, all of them be able to explain how that's going to help them? Help them with what? With their Yiddishkeit? You don't need philosophy for Yiddishkeit. It's pretty basic. You put on tefillin, you daven, yartzites, bar mitzvahs, levayas, funerals, chasanas. You ask a rav what to do, and pretty much if you're going to anyways have to comply if it's that rav's jurisdiction. So we're in your case, again, like I said, you're privileged because you're modern Orthodox. So modern Orthodox means you have the best of both worlds. And it's exactly like what you said about the Rambam. The Rambam was that modern Orthodox style. He was in the middle. He wasn't a fanatic and he wasn't blind and ignorant, but yet he stayed religious, whatever that meant. I think for a while some people say he converted to Islam, which is a form of survival. It's not like he found Muhammad to be so enlightening, better than Muhammad was better than his Greek philosopher teachers. Of course not. It's just that he had to do it for survival, and because he knew halacha very well and he knew the origins and the meaning of halacha, he understood that it's not even a problem. It's not a shayla of avodah zarah b'chlal. So I guess he pretended. Whether that story is true or not, he definitely had the seichel, like with the Meiri, defending Jews who converted. So saying that it's not a different God, number one, it's only a question of leaving the community. But if you do it as a community as a whole, then again that problem is solved. If everybody together, let's say, converts to Islam, there really is no way of in Judaism of knowing if it's Moshe or Muhammad. There is no evidence. A prophet, the Rambam tried to shape what a prophet is. And a prophet is the other hand of a philosopher. Philosopher is usually a chacham. Like it says, v'navi levav chachma, that's the way we say chacham adif minavi. Like the navi is it's like a pshatel, it's like an explanation on a pasuk, right? The goal is that the chachamim are trying to say it's better a chacham than a navi. A Navi will tell you he spoke for God, but then when the Nevi'im contradict each other, there's nothing you can do. But when the Chachamim contradict each other, they could resolve it because they have Chachma, they could discuss it, and they can weed out all the contradictions and go with what makes more sense. So how is that class going to help you? Well, I believe it's going to help you because you're going to be able to think for yourself. And you're going to always be able to take every situation and do the best with what you have. As opposed to people who take things on faith or blindly following, like in the Haredi yeshiva system, even if they're not going and overboard and they're not blocking buses and making what you guys evidently call a chil Hashem, which confuses you because sometimes you look at those guys with the white shirts and you're more modern, you guys are more chilled. And you look at them and you think, these are supposed to be your guide. These are supposed to be your holy people. These are supposed to be your removed higher class, the people who you sit and you give them a kavod when they walk in. You give them an aliyah. And you get a bracha from them or you get some supposed to be good advice. And then by the end of the day you realize, hey, wait a minute, these people don't even have common sense. So it confuses you. And the answer is, they're not leaders, they're followers. If they weren't followers, then clearly they would not, like sheep and in a uniform way, they wouldn't be doing such large-scale corporate mistakes. They're doing it all. The whole yeshiva goes out and makes a chil Hashem together, which makes it more possible. If one boy did it, everybody would say, hey, Mr. Meshuggah, you're nuts, what are you doing? So when you're modern Orthodox, you don't need Moses Mendelssohn. I'm not saying we don't need it. It's a beautiful class, and it's amazing, and it opens your mind, and it gives you all the tools. But you don't need it because you don't really have to apologize to anyone for going to college. You don't have to convince your parents to let you go to college. So, for example, with Joe, you have a question, how much time should you devote to going to a proper yeshiva? Haredi yeshiva, whether it's Eish Torah, could be Chabad, Mayanot. there's a suggestion. Someone says to you, do it now, you'll regret it later, which there's no evidence or truth to that. You can always do it later. College, you can't always do later. That is true. College, especially you're interested in the medical field. Now, the privilege that you have to have this class, and the privilege that you have to even be debating whether or not you want to go to yeshiva, meaning, is it your interest, and is it your interest now? Because you might have a renewed interest in yeshiva at age 35. I myself, when I travel sometimes, and I'm not working, or I could I could spend 7 days in a shul Chabad house, and because meaning I keep coming and spend a half a day, and it's very meaningful to me. I have no other obligations. I can always do that, and I can always find time and go learn a shir and wake up early and all that, and especially when it's enjoyable. You have that luxury, and then you have the luxury of going to college. There's one guy about tshuva from a very, I don't want to say, from a conservative home. Conservative meaning they're not reform strictly, they're not orthodox, they're somewhere in between, they're traditional, they're just American traditional. And one of the boys chose a Hasidic way, and his son has a great interest to be a doctor. Clearly, he's not confused about it or speculating. He wants to be a doctor, and he can't, because his father went all the way, got the payas, lives in Yerushalayim, and for some reason, I don't know if the father is, he's not letting him. So you have, not only that, you have the luxury from all sides. You're modern, but you have the label orthodox, which, what is it? Really doesn't really mean much if you look at it from a philosophical perspective, but it's a label that people are fighting for. There's a women's minyan, and they want the women to be considered orthodox. Why can't they just call themselves Reform or Traditional or American Judaism? Because when they do that and they label it orthodox, they're taking responsibility and they're paving the way for other orthodox, meaning they're not abandoning ship. So now another guy who's the masses, who have no philosophical inkling, they can't use their own seichel, they have to follow, not because they of their situation, like that they're born and raised in the wrong zip code, but because they just don't have they don't have their only inkling of the philosophy or whatever it is through religion. So they don't have their own wisdom. They don't have the kalim for it, as they say. So for such people who think that being Orthodox means you can't do A, B, and C, or you must do A, B, and C, and different things that they heard from their neighbor or someone said, then because they keep the umbrella Orthodox, they're paving the way for them. So that's a wonderful thing that they're doing. So you could be frum and do A and B. You're literally giving people a license to live. And have freedom, like the exact freedoms that Moses Mendelssohn gave. So what did the Rambam do to Judaism? One of the boys said that in the class, he says that his review of the class was that the Rambam and Mendelssohn helped shape Judaism. They didn't. They only shaped the Judaism that's interested in their shaping. Ask any Haredi boy in a yeshiva what the Rambam's philosophy was and what he said, and as clearly one of the boys, I think it was Jacob, said controversial, right? They won't know that they won't even know to begin to. They won't even know how to find the book. They wouldn't even know the name of the book that you find the philosophy in it. Not the Rambam, not Moses Mendelssohn. So what does Haredim believe? They don't know. Ask them. They don't know yet what they believe. And so he didn't shape. The Rambam didn't shape the Haredi world. He indirectly shaped it because of modern orthodoxy and because of rationalist Judaism. So the Haredim, especially those who have a good sense and reason, are piggybacking off those people who are using their seichel and taking responsibility. You asked about intermarriage, which is a long discussion. So the shaila is not if the girl is born in Australia or Japan or Mexico. The shaila is the girl Shemer Torah mitzvahs or not? And the answer is, if I am not Shemer Torah mitzvahs, meaning I'm not frum, but I do from stuff, like I'll do Ashkama minyan, I'll do a minyan, I'll do whatever people need, even in a leadership position, not just participating, but I'll help lead and help whatever they need. So, and that's what you could call Heimish. I'm not from, but I'm Heimish. Evidently, I'm not that I need that label. I don't need it. But if people want to give it to me, I'll take it, because at least it's honest. So if I'm from, then my wife will go with me, right? But if I'm not, then I don't need that issue. I don't have to worry about resolving any of that problems. Thank you for watching.